contestability, right? So who is it? Brandon, is it? Okay, so there's a question prepared here, but there's nothing much that you can see the word contestability there, right? Do we understand what is contestability? It's a very common word, right? In bouncing around market structure ideas these days. So data insights your later insights your you see 2B here. Okay, so let me just rattle off, right, and say a few words on what is contestability. You see an article on this, right? Very, very high chance it will appear in some form of market structure. Right? So, do we know what is contestability? Contestability just means that okay, so this is a bit more abstract, okay, right? To be honest, there's a difference between level of competition, right, versus level of contestability. What is the difference? If you say that the level of competition is high, right? You're just saying that the number of firms inside the market structure is many. So, for example, you say in the NPC market, right, because there's so many co-substitutes, the market is relatively competitive. Okay, and even for oligopolies, well, you can arguably say that, for example, in the case of smartphone markets, right, the market is still quite competitive because there are rival firms. Right, and obviously, in the case of monopoly, the answer is that there's no competition at all, because there's only one single firm or one dominant firm. Right, so that's the idea of competition. Okay. Contestability sometimes is used interchangeably, but that is not correct. Right? Contestability just means that whether the likelihood of new firms entering is high. So it's a matter of possibility. That means that person hasn't arrived yet. Do you understand what I'm talking about? A classic case, just a silly little analogy, right? So for example, now I'm in this little big room here. Okay, right? And of course, if I'm the only, sorry, that's my alarm clock to say that. If I'm the only person in the room, then the answer is the competition is low. Okay, right? But if I look out of the window and my door is now open, okay, right. Which means that currently, while the competition is low, okay, the chances of anybody entering the room is high. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So, low competition, but market is contestable. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. If I am sure, if the door is closed, right, I'm quite sure that the chance of people not entering the room is low. I can be more relaxed. Yes, I always say something like that. But even though I'm the only person in the room, I choose to sit upright because anytime my boss will walk past and see the sloppy way that I'm sitting, and he'll be not very happy. So despite the fact that I'm the only person in the room, I still have to be aware that the chances of people entering is high, and I must behave myself. You understand? Now, what's the implication here? For NPC and oligopoly, there is not so much of a difference. But when it comes to monopoly, there is a difference. Okay, right? The traditional explanation, the traditional discussion of monopoly is based on the assumption that the market is not contestable. So, because of that, there's only one firm, and therefore, given that the demand is priced in elastic, right, this monopoly will set very high prices, will not do R&D. Okay. However, if this monopoly is like my situation now, where the door is still open, any time a new firm may enter, even though now I'm the only firm in the room, okay, right? I will not abuse my market power. Do you understand my market power? I'll ever be conscious about, while I'm currently the single firm, anytime my market power and market share will be challenged by potential rivals. Okay, and therefore, a monopoly in a contestable market may not always abuse the market power. Do you know what I'm talking about? And therefore, that will be a very good evaluation point to raise. You always start by saying that monopolies will always charge very high prices, P is much bigger than MC, blah, 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 they're allocating efficient. Furthermore, they will have no incentive to R&D, blah, 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 blah. Correct? And part of the evaluation is saying, however, we should do later, if the market is contestable, while the competition is low, the chance of new firms entering is high. Right? And therefore, in preparation, or just in case these new firms are hovering on the horizon, the monopolists will also not charge this price attention to some models. Is it okay? So that is the difference between competition and contestable. For monopoly, competition is low, but contestability may be high. Do you understand? Okay. So later you see this as kind of a formal piece of writing. So contestability is a matter of freedom of entry. Okay, right? It's on the high side. Okay, but to be very technically correct, it's not just a freedom of entry, but also a freedom of exit. What do I mean by this? Okay, so this is the second version that's a bit harder. Okay? Why exit? Then comes the see this word called, do you see this one? Sunk cost. Just for fun only, just for to share with you a bit. What is sunk cost? Now, a sunk, you understand, so you put a stone into, you throw a stone into the sea and go all the way down, right? A sunk cost just means that the cost cannot be recovered. Okay, right? So what is the difference between sunk cost and startup cost that we said before? Now, sunk cost is startup cost, but not all startup costs are sunk costs. Right? So some very philosophical, and let me just explain to you in simple words. Right? So let's say my boss decided to set up this learner's tuition center, right? So what is startup cost? So to set up this center, we need to paint our corporate colors orange and zip line, right? And we need to buy stuff such as chairs and maybe this computer here, right? So all of these are startup costs, okay? But not all of them are sunk costs. Now, what is sunk cost? Sunk cost is something that you cannot recover. Okay? So what cannot be recovered? So once you paint this wall, you can't peel off the paint. Right, so this is infrastructure is sunk cost. Okay, while my boss needs to buy tables and chairs, okay, those tables and chairs can be resold and converted back to money, right? So the tables and chairs are start-up costs, but they are not sunk costs. But what is sunk cost is infrastructure. Now, what is the implication of sunk cost? Because you know that once you spend the money, you cannot recover. Okay, you think twice about the risk. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So if the sunk cost is high, then firms will think twice about entering because they know that once they spend the money, it's like they're not going to get the money back. But if they know that they spend the money on tables and chairs, and if they can venture to another business using the same factors of production, right? Then the firms may enter easily, and exit easily. Do you understand what I'm talking about? But regardless, that is just for technical words, okay? If you really want to be very correct, the answer of complexity is ease of entry and exit, right? It is low, it is high, it is low. Okay, and exit part will be the sunk cost instead of sunk cost. But if you don't care too much, just focus on the fact that barriers entry is getting lower. Okay, right? And instead of sunk cost, just use sunk cost. Okay. And so what determines contestability? So as mentioned before, it's like sunk cost or startup cost is one of them. It's like the higher the sunk cost, the harder is it for firms to enter, the lower is the level of contestability. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay. So this one is just equivalent to the barrier entry. Okay. But what also determines sunk cost, and this one you should know a little bit, but is technology. Okay. technology. Okay, and technology is advancing so crazily fast. So maybe as a young person, you may not be able to appreciate this. But with the advent of things such as the internet, and smartphones and etc. Many firms which are traditionally dominant firms will face a lot of challenges. Okay, a case in point is of course Grab and Uber. Okay, challenging the traditional dominance of ComfortDelGro. So any form of transport sectors now you see potential startups such as Grab and Uber, many Lyft and Americans and all sorts of Gojek or something like that, so Ride or something like that, entering the channel dominance. Okay, and so with that, the level of contestability in the transport sectors will go down because of technological advances. This is okay. Other things that be closely associated with technology will be e-commerce, as mentioned earlier. Okay, traditionally you have big shopping centers, okay, right? But even so, with technology advances, you have Q10, Lazada, and God knows what, that's out there. Even Amazon, and then Amazon sent me an email, to say, Black Friday is coming. I used to buy, when the last time I ordered anything from Amazon, it's years ago when I was still studying, so I ordered books. But now, when I look at the thing, the books is just only one of the many things that Amazon is delivering to my house. And they sell stuff such as clothes, grocery, or something like that. Even Amazon, which is traditionally a bookseller, is now venturing into uncharted territories. Okay, and then the next thing they are looking at is pharmaceuticals. They will deliver medicine. And so all these traditional retailers will feel the might, of Jeff Bezos, at Amazon. Something like that. So contestability is getting higher and higher in detail for e-commerce. Okay. Third also answer that you might be aware of will be hotels. Technology has allowed things such as what? Airbnb, for example, to rise. Okay, so even the hotel chains will shiver a little bit, because now there are alternative accommodation options available for travelers. You understand what I'm talking about? Okay, so technology determines the level of contestability. Okay. Of course, for those people who are a bit more crazy in the writings, why is this technology shifting? All these the playing field. The answer is technology, for example, smartphones is able to reduce the degree of imperfect information. What is imperfect? So this slight links to your market data imperfect information. What is the idea here? Let me share with you and then we'll just ask. For example, last time, if you were to have a car, that you have a car, and you are going down to Orchard Road. And you see, I don't mind having a person sharing my ride with me, since I'm traveling down, But the problem is, such things can't work because as a driver, you have no idea where the commuters are. Where are the passengers? You don't know. As a passenger, you need to hitch a ride from Orchard Road down, as I go to Orchard Road. You also don't know where are the drivers who are willing to do that. But with technology, the driver, with a touch of a few buttons, are able to know where who are the ones who need a ride. And commuters, with a touch of a button, are able to tell you, are able to connect themselves with those people with a spare vacancy in their car to drive you down to Orchard Road. And therefore, it changed the way that people hitch rides. And the taxi industry is badly affected by this new rise of technology. Is it okay? And that's the reason why this technology usually have a word D as a way to describe that. It's called disruptive technology. Because everything seems to be thrown outside the window, as we need to think out the box to see how business are operating these days. Anyway, what determines contestability? One, sunk costs. Two, a level of technology, you should say. You can read yourself. Third possible reason, and you need to know this if market structure is something that you are very keen about. is government policy. Now, this is important. Government, as mentioned before, is alright. The something was telling us there's something called statutory barriers to entry, meaning whether the government want to offer you license or not. Okay, and therefore, government is able to raise or lower the barriers to entry through its policies. Okay, right? And what is the act of reducing the barriers to entry? It's up to D. It's called deregulation. Is it okay? If you don't like the word deregulation, less hard sounding words, it's called liberalization. Okay, and the idea is the government is issuing out more licenses, okay, making it easier for the firms to apply and enter the industry. Two industries that you need to know is that have deregulation as very useful examples to cite for government policies. One is something called open electricity markets. Okay, right? Open electricity market. Okay. What is the idea? A long time ago, not a long time ago, just 3 years ago, the only person who can buy electricity from is Singapore Power. Okay, but the government says, oh no, this Singapore Power is just too complicated. Right? It has only one, we depend on only one firm. Okay, so the government decides to liberalize the electricity retail market. Okay, so if you don't mind, after this lesson, you ask your parents, okay, who are we buying electricity from? The chances of the answer being Singapore Power is no. Right? There's Sembawang, Keppel, or God knows whatever that's out there. So the government greatly liberalized the electricity retail market to more competition. It's like making the electricity market more contestable. This is okay. The second sector that is again very close to our hearts is, I mentioned before, telcos. Okay, right? The long time ago, there's only Singtel, then M1, then StarHub. For the longest time, these three guys dominate the telcos. Okay, right? But who's the fourth one? Do you remember the fourth one? Just I showed you the stupid thing, right? Called TPG. Okay, right? TPG. Okay, right? It's the Australian firm that's the fourth one. Okay, right? Of course, you can see funny terms about you now. Circles Life, for example, right? Might be something that we are used to. So, that is an example of the government liberalizing the telcos. Okay, and whatever that you are paying now is for your data plans, very cheap. It's so ridiculous cheap that you can't even imagine. Last time it was actually quite expensive. Okay, I paid $20 for like 20 gig or something like that. It's like even if I watch YouTube for the rest of my entire 24 hours a day, I don't think I can finish using the data plan. Okay, but last time it was very expensive, right? And so now your parents are paying much less for the electricity bills. Your parents are also paying much less, and you are also paying much less for telco bills. Simply because the government is deregulating or liberalizing. It's like the two major markets for Singapore is like the electricity, as well as the telcos. Is this okay? Regardless, there are three factors that determine the level of contestability. One, sunk cost. Two, technology. Three, government policies. Okay. So as the contestability goes down, what is the issue? Right, we're going back to the question. So, let me just. Okay, so what happens is alright. So we can do a bit of writing. So I just share with you what I share, what I do during class. Okay, and so contestability is alright. You can see potential entry is alright. So it's entry and exiting, right? So I write a few words. The other one is a bit more elaborate. So the government deregulation, liberalization, right? So open entry market. Okay, and the telcos, all telco. Okay, right? Can all have answers? Okay, later you can query yourself. Okay, let's ask for information. Okay. But how would firms react if there's more contestability? Going back to what Mr. Hayden said earlier, then all the firms will try to reduce price. which is true, right? Because you might want to remember this as a very, very classic example of that. Right? When the fourth telco wanted to enter the industry, right? They will undercut the prices of incumbent telcos. Right? So they will reduce the price to make it harder for the fourth telco to come into the market. So that is a classic example of if you want to use the word predatory pricing, that is not correct. The answer is it will be a classic example of limit pricing. Limit pricing. This is okay. Okay. And so I added a little bit of the write-up here. So what is limit pricing? So I will really think that it is useful to draw a diagram to show me that. Okay, so this is the typical market structure diagram. Okay, and so let's examine this a little bit harder. If there is
sorry, I didn't see the diagram.
That's why I asked you just now. Okay, never mind. Okay, so so sorry, so screen full. Thank you. I've been scrolling this so long. Okay, anyway, so this will be all the write-up that you'll see. Okay, right? Anyway, when expressing a limit diagram, especially for some hard people, I would recommend that you draw this. Okay, I still don't hard because in Learner's Lodge, I'm in charge of the Kembangan Damai branch, right? So along with Mr. David Lee. So 50 of you are with me, right? So I understand the Damai a little bit better. Okay, so you might want to draw this diagram. And how do you explain this diagram, right? If you look at the market structure, is based on the margin principle, you'll be producing at Q1 and P1. You see that? Q1, P1, which is simply just an MC equals MR idea. Right? And using the same diagram, you might want to tell the teacher if the firms have alternative objectives, they will want to reduce the price, okay, right, below profit maximizing level, right? Is that right? And in this case, it's below price 1. Okay, right? Where could be a possible answer is I recommend P2 and Q2. And where is the point? The point is where AC equals to AR. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, and so the firm is voluntarily giving up its supernormal profits to earn only normal profits, as mentioned before. This is okay. Now, what is the purpose? The reason why the firms are entering is because the incumbent firms are earning supernormal profits. By reducing your profits from super to, for example, normal, then the idea is that they are giving new firms less incentive to enter the market. Is this okay? And so the word is limit pricing if possible. Don't write military, military is right out. Okay, right? But if you want to elaborate a bit more, that's alright, I added a bit more right up. Now, the second possible answer why the lower prices is great is because you could see here potential rivals are unlikely to produce at a very large scale. Correct? This is what Zheng Xie helped us with just now. And given that they have limited ability to enjoy IEOS, their average cost is likely to be high. This is okay. And so if the P2 charge by the incumbent firms is lower than the rival firm's average cost, then at that price the firms will be earning sub-normal profits. And therefore they are not going to be as price competitive compared to the incumbent firms. Okay, and so they are less likely to enter. This is okay. And so this one is a nice elaboration of limit pricing. A lot of people will just say lower the price to stop. And then they'll say, prevent the firms from entering. Then the teacher will say, why? How? Okay, and then you will miss out on the elaboration. Okay, 好，我才要解释清楚。Okay, right? For crazy people out there, you may even push this, just for fun only, it's also possible for the big firms to charge all the way below P2, meaning that this firm is earning sub-normal profits. Okay, then how do you explain the idea that they're able to do that? One answer is what we learned earlier. Because these firms have been earning supernormal profits for the past few years, they can use those supernormal profits to tide over these short-run losses. Is this okay? Second possible answer can also be if the incumbents are very big, if they are making losses, they can also easily borrow from banks to help them tide over these difficult periods. What's the reason? Is because these firms are very big and they are what they call credit worthiness. Right? And this idea comes from the little idea that we learned last time called financial IES. Big firms have greater ability to borrow. Is alright. And so if the incumbent firms are able to, one, use their supernormal profits previously, two, borrow more easily, is right, from banks, then they are able to charge a price lower than even the break-even point. Do you understand? All these are not so important. The important idea is still this. This is very, very good. Okay. And a classic example of limit pricing is when the fourth telco was announced, it's alright in 2016, it's alright, all three incumbent telcos immediately lowered the price in anticipation of the potential entry of the fourth telco by the name of TPG. Okay, so for market structure, it's important to pack yourself with examples so that you can just name drop, and we shall be very, very happy. Okay, right? So good for you too. All these are not so foreign. I'm not asking you. I remember very obscure pharmaceutical firms' names. This is things that you can see around you. And so it's much easier to remember. Okay, right? So that's what the firms will do when the market is more contestable. They will charge the prices below of estimates. Okay, right? Very, very good. So this then the rest you can go and read yourself, right? So this long discussion, question 1 and question 2 is done. Okay, right. So let me just this 1 and 2 will be found will after today's will be found in your folder. Okay, so just now over dinner break is alright. I've highlighted some questions, right? That I thought that I would want to go through with you. Is alright. So some of them are, and I thought that it might be useful for you for your promos, your pre, and maybe for even the A levels. If I don't get to see you again. So anyway. And let's look at the revision number, question number 3. It's very, very simple. Gamma I likes this, Lina Teo likes this, right? Lina Teo sets twice similar ideas for previews. So maybe you appear again for your anyway, I just keep it very simple. It's explain whether firms in reality make pricing decisions based on market principle. Only this will be your part A. Right, and of course, what does explain whether means? So what's explain whether?
Like you have to take a stand, right?
What's the difference between discuss whether versus explain whether?
Discuss, you have to take a stand, and explain, you don't.
That's right. Discuss whether is two sides with conclusions. Explain whether is two sides sitting on the fence. Okay, you need to present the two sides, but no need to say overall. I think that you need. Okay, and so explain whether market principle, of course, doesn't feature so much for market structure, but for market failure, it's all over the place. Is it just abundantly just say since you like the market failure, it's where is socially optimum levels?
I don't know why.
For market failure, where is socially optimum level?
Oh, for market failure. Is it when there is no like MEC?
When MSB equals an MSC.
Yeah.
That's the margin principle, isn't it? From rational consumer's viewpoint, where is the level that a rational consumer will consume based on the margin principle?
Where the MPB is maximized.
The MPB is equals to MPC.
MPC.
MPC is the price. So it's P equals to MPB, correct? And for market structures, where is the profit maximizing level?
Oh, the MES. Right.
Wow.
Is it not?
Where is the profit maximizing level? MES is the minimum part of RAC.
P equals to MC.
No.
MC equals to MR.
Okay, that's all the place, so scary, okay? P equals to MC is allocative efficient level.
Uh-huh.
Profit maximizing level is MC equals to M.
MR.
Yeah, MC equals to MR, okay, right? This is on that note, how do you prove that firms should produce an MC equal to MR other than stomping on little feet and saying the note says so? How do you prove that MC equals to MR is profit maximizing?
It's profit. The note says so.
I'm not saying so, okay. I cannot, must learn how to explain, okay? So let's try. First of all, Zheng, using your finger, can you tell me how MC will look like?
Like it's the Nike tape.
It's a 98, that's correct, right? Can you tell me how MR will look like for a PC?
It's a downward sloping.
PC.
PC. Oh, straight line.
Straight line, well, this will go straight line, but it's a horizontal line, that's correct, right? And how would the MR look like for non-PC?
It's a downward sloping.
Sorry, why is the MR downward sloping?
Because of substitutes present.
Yeah, well, the technical idea is that because of firms have bisecting abilities, right? Just a matter of the degree, right? But for PC, it's completely no loss. Okay. But regardless, it's alright, you look something like that. Alright. Okay, so the trick that we need to know now is how to explain why MC equals to MR is profit maximizing. Okay, right, let me ask this, alright. Yes, Hayden, that's correct. If you look at this diagram here, okay, can you see diagram? Okay, right. Where is the profit maximizing level? Turning the off, turning down. Okay, right. This one must know. Yes, I'm Hayden, director. Where is the profit maximizing level?
MC equals to.
Okay, there's Q1, Q2, Q3 there is right mentioned on the right side.
Q3.
Sorry?
Q3.
MC equals to MR. Where is that? MC is here,
Q2.
Q2, that's correct, right? Alright. So if Q2 is a profit maximizing, means that Q1 and Q3 are both not profit maximizing, correct? Alright. And can you tell me what is the relationship between MR and MC at Q1? Who is higher?
MR.
Who is higher at Q1?
MR.
MR, that's right. So it's not profit maximizing, isn't it? How do you prove that Q1 is not profit maximizing? You say that MR is bigger than MC, correct? The next step is to tell me, that as you move from Q1 to Q2, okay, right? As you move from Q1 to Q2, okay, there is a increase in total revenue, and there is also an increase in total cost. Okay, now using the alphabets A, C, Q1, Q2, and B, right? Can you tell me as you move from Q1 to Q2, how much would your total revenue increase by? Which is area under MR. Can you tell me?
A, Q1, Q2.
A, okay, A, right? A is here, okay. So area under MR between Q1 and Q2, do you see that? Alright, so what is the area? A, C, Q2, Q1, do you see that? Alright, so that's the amount of increase in total revenue, correct? Using the same idea, can you tell me how much will the total cost increase by? So it's area under MC curve. Do you know that? Okay, right? Area under MC curve. Tell me what's the area between MC curve?
P, C, Q2, Q1.
curve is here, bound by these two lines, correct? Okay, so what is the area?
B,
Mm,
D,
mm.
Q3, Q1.
Q2, Q1, and C between Q1 and Q2. It's just like your math integration like that. Integrate between Q2 and Q1 area. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay. So Hayden, if revenue is rising at the same time and cost is also rising at the same time, between rise in revenue and rise in cost, which one is rising more?
Rise in revenue.
Rise in revenue, that's right. By how much?
ACB.
A, B, C, isn't it? So as you move from Q1 to Q2, the rise in revenue is larger than the rise in cost. Is profit rising or falling?
Profit rising.
Rising, that's right. Therefore, any point that is on the left-hand side of Q2 is not profit maximizing. What should firms do if they're on the left-hand side of Q2?
Increase.
Increase the production, that's right, from Q1 to Q2. Is this okay? Using the same logic, what happens if you're Q3?
Decrease.
Tell me the relationship between MC and MR, MC and MR at Q3. Who is higher?
Sorry.
Who is higher at Q3, MC or MR?
MC.
That's right. Okay, right. And so using the same logic, as you move from Q2 to Q3, how much is the rise in total cost, which is area under MC between Q2 and Q3?
Q2, Q3, DC.
B and C, that's correct. Okay, right. And how much will the revenue increase by as you move from Q2 to Q3? Just take the triangle, please. Yes, the area between Q2, Q3 bound by area and by the line MR. Can you tell me what's the area, please? That's correct. C, Q2, Q3. So Mr. Hayden is right. Which one increase more? Did the cost increase more or the revenue increase more as you move from Q2 to Q3?
Cost increase more.
Sorry?
Cost increase more.
By how much?
CDE.
CE, that's correct, right? So that means if you go beyond Q2, are profits rising or falling?
Falling.
That's right. If you're before Q2, are profits higher or lower compared to Q2?
Higher.
Lower. Is that right? Q2 is the highest. Okay, therefore, if your Q1, you should increase production. If your Q3, you should reduce production. Okay, now, that's how we prove that MC equals MR is profit maximizing. Hua Chong will only tell you this during post-mortem. Same with all other schools. Okay, they only tell you this post-mortem. Because when I was in RI, I asked, so why is this not taught to students? He said, how you don't know? I thought we said this during lecture already. How you know? Yeah, how you know? Yeah, because you never say it. That's why I'm the hated person in RI. Because I always ask them this, if this is so important, why is this not mentioned in lecture? Okay, like this, if you feel that this is unfamiliar with you, to you, that's what the teacher will be doing. It's like they will only tell you this post-mortem. Okay, right. You say, oh, in the examiner's report, it's our dismay that something as basic as Marshall's principle, the students fail to grasp such fundamental issues. Students must be reminded that Marshall's principle is an important part of your micro syllabus. Stop. So that's what they will write. Okay, right? By the way, is this okay? This is a Marjorie's principle, and effectively in my class is known as chop. Do you know what is chop? Chop means that you do one in front and one on the left hand side, the right hand side, right? And point towards that. This is the profit maximizing position. Okay. Similarly for market failure 就写一下，如果有 market failure 就MSB equals to MSC. Correct. That is also maximizing social welfare. Okay. If the teacher asks why is MSB equals to MSC the social optimal, you again do the chop. On the left hand side, MSB is bigger than MSC. Therefore, as you move closer to the social optimal, right, increase in social benefit will be larger than increase in social cost. Okay, on the right hand side is that then MSC is bigger than MSD. If you move from Q2 to Q3, increase in social cost will be larger than increase in social benefit. Social welfare will actually fall. Therefore, you move towards Q2 where MSD equals MSC, which is the same as this, but in the social optimal level discussion. Okay, right? So this one must know, this one must know. The Marshall system will sure come up in some form or another, especially for the Government High Level. Okay, right? But then the question is discuss whether. Okay, now explain whether, right? This is yes. Okay, right? But where is the no? No, the firms will not produce at profit maximizing level. Okay, now where is the no? Anybody? Any answers? Why would the firm not produce at MC equals MR? Yes, let me ask the Government High contingent. Jin Rong, can you tell me what would Miss Linda say? Alright, I'm having tea with tea. Why would the firm not produce at MC equals MR?
Like the firm might have other objectives other than profit maximizing.
That's right, so there are other objectives in it. And using what we discussed earlier, what could be a potential alternative objective?
R&D. I can't remember.
Using the previous discussion on contestability, what might be the alternative objective?
The price, limit pricing.
Thank you very much. It's alright. And therefore, you have things to say. Alright. And why would the firm more or less more likely to practice limit pricing?
To protect the quantity demanded.
No.
To reduce the incentive for other firms to enter the.
That's right. And what's the reason why they are more likely to do that? Because markets are getting more
competitive.
Getting more
contestable.
That might be a good word. Is alright. And what's the reason why markets are getting more contestable?
Technology.
Emphasis. Is alright. As well as government
intervention.
Policies such as the
deregulation or liberalization.
That's right. Of markets such as the
telcos and electricity.
That's right. In the year 2016, when the government announced the emergence of the fourth telco, what did the rest of the firms do?
Lower their prices.
Thank you very much. Then the whole package will just throw in. Are you okay? Under the word of contestability. Okay, and the answer is limit pricing. Okay, and Jun Rong is alright. You probably will draw the same diagram as we mentioned just now. So I'm going to flip it over. Where is it? Question 2. So Jun Rong, you will draw this diagram. So sorry. And what will you do with this? You say instead of producing at
the MC equals to MR, they will.
That's right. Where will it produce?
To the left of the MC equals to MR.
Possibly a point at AC equals to AR. Okay, right. Then you reduce the price from P1 to P2 and increase the output from Q1 to Q2 instead. Okay, right. Understand what I'm talking about? This is limit pricing. Okay, predatory pricing, which is slightly is the same issue, but just that the context is different, right? Predatory pricing, Jun, Kang, is when do you do predatory pricing?
What?
When do you do predatory pricing?
When like new firms come in.
New firms come in 叫 limit.
What?
New firms come in is limit pricing.
Or when you want to drive out a firm.
That's right, drive out, correct. And using a rigorous explanation, can you tell me how you drive out new firms?
The incumbent firms charge super low prices. They are below the price set by the market, so that then they use their supernormal profits from the past to tide over, while the new order.
The purpose is to say they are driving out. So how can they drive out new firms?
The new firms do not have enough capital to tide over, so they will suffer from subnormal profits.
Alright, that's one point. I think that's you trying to explain it. Okay, right? And so using the same idea as you mentioned before, right? You could say this: the one that is driving out the smaller firms, right? The other firms, right, is usually the big dominant firm. Okay, right? So to impress Linda a little bit, you could say that the big firm, just like what Zheng Xian told us earlier, enjoy a lot of IEOS. Okay, right? And the smaller firms are not producing at such a big scale, right? So their average cost is actually very, very high. Okay, right? And so if the big firm is earning normal profits, the smaller firms will most likely be earning sub-normal profits. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And if they cannot cover their total variable cost, then they will have to shut down. And in the long run, if they cannot cover they continue earning sub profits, they will have to leave. That will be a rigorous way of explaining it. Okay, but between limit and predatory, under such a context, you choose only one. You don't write two. Okay, because that's just too much. And these are so alternatively, there are others, but between if there's one that you can only remember either limit pricing or predatory pricing. Okay, along with the context. Can right? Is that or price war of the effect, right? So if preventing firms from entering the example is for telco, Jun Kang, what is a good example to say the lower price to drive them out?
Like real life example.
It's something that you see, that you used to see almost every day.
I don't know.
There used to be two, now there's only one.
What? Say it.
There used to be two, but now there's only one after all that price cutting. Who is being driven out after they cannot survive the price war when the two firms are cutting prices? It starts with G. One starts with U. They are all 4-letter words. Revenue. Revenue. Okay, let's Uber.
What? Oh.
Uber is driven out. Okay, that's a classic example of fighting for market share. Okay, right? But if you want to know a bit more, were you aware that they are fighting with each other, Mr. Jun Kang?
Yeah, then indeed.
What they do to
What?
They keep cutting the fares, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So can you remember that for me?
Google that for you. I can't hear you. But like not clear.
Can you remember that example for me?
Can.
How you bear with my lack of clarity for the next 2 hours? Okay, right. Don't tell your mother to complain $60 for unclear lesson, okay, right? That will not reflect very well on me, okay, right? Anyway, okay, right? So remember that, that classic example is, okay, something that you need to remember very well, okay, for your market structure, okay? So MC to MR is yes. However, first we have alternative objectives. Is it okay? And between meaning and beginning, learn one at least. There are others, for example, revenue maximizing, growth maximizing, so that one I leave to you to discuss it, but you need to know one of the representative items. Okay, right? However, for the crazy people out there, it's going to do very well. So, firms will not charge at MC to MR for 2 reasons. One is they are not willing to produce at MC to MR. And the classic example is PJ3 at limit pricing. Now, the other one is much as they want to price at MC equals MR, they cannot. They cannot. So one is willingness and one is ability. Mr. Ernest, can you tell me why is it that firms may not be able to price at MC equals to MR?
Is it why they don't want to price it?
Why they don't want to is because they have alternative objective, correct? Why they cannot? Who is preventing them from producing at MC equals to MR?
Like some policies.
Who is preventing them from producing at MC equals to MR? Who says cannot?
The government.
Oh, government. Okay, right, government, right? From your demand and supply, can you tell me one example of the government making sure that prices are affordable and the firms are not able to produce at MC equals MR?
Like the price ceiling.
Very good. Price ceiling is a good answer. Alright, and Mr. Ernest, why is it for which sector will the government be more likely to impose price ceiling? What kind of goods? Will the government say price ceiling on Armani Exchange?
Like for necessities.
Very good. To ensure what?
To ensure that it's affordable for all.
That's right. And what is that micro goal of affordability?
To achieve because the government want to have like social welfare.
Social welfare is allocative efficiency.
No.
Affordability starts with E, Q, U.
Equitable.
Thank you very much. To ensure a more equitable outcome. Is alright. And the policy is known as what? Price
ceiling.
That's fine. Okay, not. So they cannot because there's government intervention. Okay, right. Price ceiling is one example. Mr. Ernest is alright. When we take MRT, okay, right. SBS or SMRT is right. Is the dominant firm that's producing that service, correct? If there is no government intervention, do you think the fares that you are paying now will be higher or lower?
Higher.
That's right. Again, why are the fares that are paying so low? Yes, Mr. Ernest, why are the fares that you are paying so low?
Because the government fixes the price to be below the equilibrium price.
Before the profit maximizing level of SMRT, correct, right? And based on whatever we Googled just now, do you still remember that final organization that controls the fares of SMRT?
PTS,
PT,
PC,
correct, PT.
PTC.
That's right. P stands for public, T stands for transport, C stands for council. It's alright. PTC as a classic example of price regulation. Is it okay? And right? If not, then the SMRT is actually a monopoly, right? They can set any high prices, and because it's such an important thing in our lives, we must take the fares, we must take the right regardless of the fares. Isn't it? But the fares are actually much lower than profit maximum because of government intervention. Because the firm cannot charge at MTR because of government regulation. Okay, now, classic examples, if you want, will be price ceiling or regulatory bodies such as PTC. This is okay. For the more advanced students, alright, again, Government High will expect you to remember this. Do we know the policies to deal with market dominance? Zheng Xie, is this in your Hwa Chong notes? What can the government do to price, what's the theoretical policy to deal with monopolies because they charge very high prices?
What to do to them?
Yes. What's the policy known as? Do you know?
I think, what is it like the forced introduction of a new law?
Maybe it's alright. Okay, so for the rest of us, it's alright. If you want to use an example of government regulation prices, right, if you do what Ernest did, which is pricing, that's okay. Okay, or for market structure, the more classic example is something called MC pricing and AC pricing. Here before, right? Okay, very good. Just say what is MC pricing? 阿贤啊，什么是 MC pricing? MC pricing is when the government forces the firm to charge at P equals to MC. Okay, right? What is P equals MC? What does P equals MC represent, Zheng Xie?
Is it like the socially, like the welfare?
Alright, so the government is uncristing the firm, right, to be allocative efficient. What is MC pricing?
MC pricing.
MC pricing, alright. What is AC pricing? P equals to AC, right? What does it represent?
Wait, I know it's like one horizontal line or something.
What is the implication of P equals to MC is social optimum, right? That's the definition. P equals to AC means they are forcing the monopoly to earn normal profits.
Oh yeah.
And so they are slightly different, but they're all examples of price regulation. MC pricing is forcing the firm to be allocating efficient. And AC pricing is to force the firm to earn normal profits. Okay, and why do they want to earn normal profits? Because they want them to be equitable. They don't want the monopoly to earn so much profits at the expense of consumers. This is okay. But regardless, the learning point is there might be government regulation that prevents the firm from abusing their market power. Ernest says price ceiling. Ernest says PTC regulates SMRT fares. Okay, Zheng Xie says ACMC pricing. All these are examples of government regulation. This is okay. Therefore, for NTDCs, again for the government high people, thesis is MC equals MR, and you do your chop to tell me that is profit maximizing. NTDC number one is firms do not have the incentive to do that because they have alternative objectives. One example is limit pricing or predatory pricing. Third paragraph is they also have no ability to do that. Example is because there is government regulation. Evaluation is, this is especially so if you are producing necessities and the government wants to achieve allocative efficiency or equitable outcome. 可以吗？3个 paragraph 写得出来吗？ Okay, right? And before you end off, these are recommended cheap answer. Anytime they ask margin principle, your answer is provided that the economic agent has no imperfect information. when this appear, for example, you learn about failure, right? And they say, oh, the government should tax. Then the common evaluation is the government may have imperfect information for the exact MEC or MEB. You know what I'm talking about? Similarly, for the MC equal MR, the answer is the firms may not have good information about MC equals MR. But that one is not so important. OK 啦，可以吗？那这两个 alternative，OK 啦。evaluation 重要哦，你知道哦。MC equals MR，OK right？The evaluation is provided that the firm has no information. OK 啦。Government regulation, especially if they are producing necessities. OK right? Alternative objective, what's evaluation? Let me just push this alright. Alternative objective evaluation is time horizon. First, to have alternative objectives in the short run. Okay, right? In the long run, it's always MC equals MR, provided they have no imperfect information, and provided there's no government information. Something along those lines. Okay, and then the answer will be very strong. So this will definitely appear in the common test too. Yeah, very predictable. Okay, now. Okay, so that is your explain weather questions for 3. All this 1, 2, 3 will be inside your folder again. 可以吗？哎，好，记得啊，这个重要，这个重要。Okay, right, okay. So now we close this around and we do a little bit on evaluate revision on desirability. So desirability is a few words will definitely appear. With all the efficiencies will where is the function? 可以哦，注意啊，你看，before I drop. Let's look at 7. Don't worry about remember, it's alright, it's not the most informative of all. It's alright. 7, it's alright. Discuss, are you seeing? Discuss whether the government should intervene in the railway industry, it's alright, to protect society's interests. Is it okay? Is it okay now? The earlier question, the perspective is always from the firm's perspective, right? Whether they want, how firms react to certain things or how firms are affected after events. 7 is slightly different. 7 onwards will be from the society's perspective. Okay, right. If you look at the question, discuss whether again, alright. That's how was explained whether now is discuss whether, right? Is the hidden. So what is the structure for discuss whether as a type of question type?
Because first take a stand.
When you see discuss whether, is that right? Yes. Which is very common question type for econs. What are the steps you need to tell me?
Start and end point, like of the question.
Discuss whether Hayden should go to university. What's the step to take for discuss whether? TAT. Can you say that for me? What is TAT? TAT. What is T? Yes, Michaela. Where is the yes, right? In EJC, I'm sure the teacher will say this, right? EJC, yes. What is the yes? It's also known as what statement? You hear before thesis? Thesis statement? Can I say that? What is the opposite of thesis?
antithesis.
Okay, right. Then okay, so thesis. What is the thesis? Can you read for me? What is the thesis for the question?
Uh,
Let me type for you to help you. What's the thesis? Can you see? All right. Yes. Can you read for me what is the thesis, please?
the
Hmm?
UK should intervene in the
That's right. Should intervene, isn't it? What's the reason why they should intervene? Should intervene, right? Because this is railway, right? Railway are big or small firms.
they
It's right. The big firms are good or bad?
bad
Bad. That's right. Okay, right. Okay. What's the antithesis?
shouldn't intervene
Shouldn't intervene. That's right. Because, or no need to intervene, right? Because.
big firms are
Okay, shouldn't intervene. Is right, because big firms are not that bad. Is it okay? Does it make sense? Okay, right. And so when you see discuss whether the idea is always thesis and thesis, correct? And so the structure will look something like that, right? Under thesis, you have E1. Okay, right? And under thesis, you have E2. Okay, right? Two thesis statements. Alright, two thesis paragraph. How about that? Okay, right? And then for your antithesis is AT1 and AT2. Is it okay? So for discuss whether it's always T1, T2, AT1, AT2. Can or not? What would the conclusion be? This is typical, just we are talking about structure here, is alright. Typical of discuss whether it's T1, T2, AT1, AT2, is alright. So somebody talk about conclusion just now, is alright. The overall, it depends on F1, F2, F3. It's okay. What does F stand for? Factors. Okay, so the government should intervene because monopolies are bad. Reason number one, blah 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 blah. Reason number two, blah 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 blah. However, monopolies may not be that bad. Reason number one, blah 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 blah. Reason number two, blah 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 blah. Overall, whether the government should intervene or not depends on we need to consider the following factors: F1, F2, F3. This is okay. Can we learn this question type? Discuss whether. Okay, now just not explain whether there is no F1, F2, F3. There's only concluded. Just one reason, two reasons. How about that? Okay, right? Okay, let's fill in the gaps. So I'm going to reduce this into very simple ideas about whether monopolies are good or bad. Okay, right? Yeah. This is one. Government should intervene because big firms are bad. Okay, right? Jun Rong is what is the most obvious bad thing about big firms?
Like very low contestability, then they can continue to do get super normal profits and inequitable.
No. I'm so sorry, I'm so competitive. What is the biggest reason? Market dominance is a form of market failure. What ideas come most predominantly? Market failure. What is obsession with market failure?
For big firms in particular.
Market failure.
Market failure. Not allocative efficient.
Thank you very much. It's a dominant idea, isn't it? Allocative. So the first topic sentence is they should intervene because they are allocative inefficient. Okay now, 30 seconds draw me market dominance lead to allocative efficient outcome with the dead weight loss correctly shaded for me, please. Possible? Okay, right? the workshop used to be 6 hours. Madness, right? 6. So they reduced to 5 this year. But last time the crowd is bigger, right? Last time, like 13 or something. Yes. And draw. Okay, so is this okay? Can right? Jun, where is the date loss?
ABC.
ABC, that's correct. Do you think Ms. Linda Teo will be happy that you just say that date loss is ABC?
Not really.
Not really, that's right. She always say that I see 6,000 times in class, how come you don't understand? Yeah. So can you explain to me why there's a date loss of ABC, please?
At QM.
Where is QM?
Sorry.
Where is QM?
Oh.
I'm going to point to the diagram. What's the definition of QM? Profit maximizing, correct? So must tell the teacher, okay, now at QM where MC equals to
MR.
Okay, go on. What's the definition of allocative inefficiency?
Efficiency is MC more than M. No.
Let me econs or I tell you it's difficult. Your content must be strong. Content, if your content is strong, the answers still come out to be the results still come out to be nonsense. But your content is not strong, the results still very bad one. Okay, content, even if the content is strong, the answer is still very, the content is still very, the result will still be very bad. but I cannot help you with the content, right? I'm trying to help you with the content, right? So if you to help yourself, the content must be very, very strong. Okay, so that when the teacher say anything, it makes sense. If not, very, very difficult. Okay, but anyway, yes, P is.
P is more than MC.
Okay, okay. Let's go back to what I said just now. Why is it that the firm is able to charge a price that's much higher than MC?
Because there's no competition.
Very good. Okay. And what's the reason why there's no competition?
Large. There's only a few large firms in our company.
Because the barrier to entry is
very high.
Okay, right. So that's on top. Because for the railway sector, right, the BTE is very, very high. Number of firms is low. Correct. Just like the just now, right? So the market power is
very high.
Because PE value is
in the last very high. So.
MC equals to MRP is.
Sorry.
And therefore, at MC equals to MR at QM, right? P is.
Higher than.
Much higher than MC. Okay, now for MPC also P is bigger than MC, but only a little bit. So must tell the teacher very drama. P is much bigger than MC. Is it okay? But what is the implication of that?
Allocative inefficiency.
There. No explanation. Cannot.
It's like the difference between the areas.
Correct. Areas is important. Okay, now. So right, like what Zheng Xian told us, what does P represent, right? P represents the consumer's satisfaction. Okay lah. P represents the satisfaction. Okay lah. MC represents the cost incurred by the producers, right? When they produce that unit. Is it okay? Now, using the areas that is correct. Now, where is looking at the diagram here, right? You know, where is the social optimal level?
QC.
That's right. What's the definition of where is social optimum?
Where
Where P is
equals to MC.
like that. Okay lah. So QM is MC equals to MR, but P is equal to MC. QC is social optimum is P equals to MC, correct? Okay. So just like what we did earlier on the Marshall's principle, right? I need to remember this. If you move from QM to QC, do you see that? If you move from QM to QC, okay. So if this demand curve right here represents the consumer's satisfaction. Okay, right? For market failure, the demand curve is equal to NPV. Okay, right? So if you look at the consumer satisfaction, as you move from QM to QC, can you tell me what is the increase in the consumer's satisfaction using the margins principle that we learned earlier?
There's an increase of QM, AC, QC.
That's right. Okay, right? Is this trapezium here, correct? But for the consumers to benefit this area, how much would the producers have to incur in terms of cost?
QM, BC, QC.
Excellent, that's correct. So the consumers will benefit more or less than the producer's price and cost?
More.
More, that's right. By how much?
ABC.
Excellent. That's right. But is that increase in social welfare enjoyed by the society if the firms, because of the market dominance, decide to produce at QM rather than QC? Is that enjoyed or not?
No.
No. Okay, right. So social welfare is not
Maximized.
because of market
Dominance.
leading to
Under allocated.
pro or con?
Sorry?
Under production or under consumption?
Under production.
Why production?
Because they're producing at QM instead of QC.
No, because the market failure is because of producers' market dominance, correct? Therefore, the word is under production. Okay, if it's positive externalities because of consumers, it's not able to control the party, that is under consumption. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And so to tell Linda, under production means that this firm is allocating too much
Little.
resources. Okay, right? And then what is allocated efficient? Do you understand what I'm talking about from the top?
Okay, allocative inefficient is when a company charges a price higher than the marginal cost. Sorry.
You just use the word company.
Sorry, firm.
Okay, good. Okay, go on.
So due to market dominance, they
Because of
high barriers because of high barriers to entry, firms enjoy supernormal profit.
买呀，不是什么normal profit 的问题
Oh yeah,
，market power 的问题。
market power. Yeah. In order to maximize social, in order to be allocative efficient,
Okay. Read off. You read one time, okay, and repeat back to me,
okay.
Can you imagine 你知道然后可以 imagine compose on the spot is ridiculous， 这个可以吗？给第一个
Yeah,
IDE 可以吗
Yeah.
One dominant firm PED is less than one. Significant market power able to charge higher prices. Okay, right? And therefore, at M equals MRP is much bigger than MC. 这个是 opening line. Okay, right? Then what's the implication of that? P is the satisfaction that consumers derive from the next units. Right? It's now larger than the cost incurred by the society in the production of that. Okay? Then you do what you did just now. If the firm will increase production from QM, where MC equals to MR, to QC, where P is equals to MC. Okay, right? Then consumers benefit will increase by whatever you did just now, right? QM, AC, QC. Okay, right? Which is larger than the producer's cost, which will increase by QM, DC, these are DC, QC. Okay, now, and this will lead to a welfare gain of ABC. Okay, such welfare gain is not enjoyed at QM. Social order is not maximized because there's underproduction. 不能说在 OK， 你是 OK， 可以吗？这个一定要懂 ，OK right？And you can write this out in 30 seconds， 这个是重要的。OK 了 ，among all things, OK right？This one is the most important. And your local teachers definitely will nitpick one. Okay, now will always pick at this explanation. The equivalent of this is your market failure explanation of why loss and this lead to a rapid loss. That one is classic, the teacher will nitpick. 那个要背到滚瓜烂熟，背到I will not see from market failure, but that one is drill until you want to drill. Because opening the even A levels are sure one, part A, explain why vaccination is under consumer. That 10 marks is get until you want to get full marks for that, you know. Is that if you explain rigorously. If you don't know, then you just give the marks to the teacher, that's stupid. And this one doesn't require to like high intellectual ability, just memorize what's so difficult. Of course, we start off with understanding that it's important to explain rigorously. If not, then okay, no? This one can remember? Important yeah, so you go back and read this, but remember all the things, explanation of dead weight loss and market failure and using this area is damn important for your micro. Okay, second reason is it is inequity. Inequity. Okay, why is it inequitable? One stupid answer is, if you look at this, okay, on the bottom part, this one, QM and QC, right? When you look at the quantity, the issue is allocating efficiency. Quantity, okay? Equity is on the vertical side. Okay, now why is it inequitable? Because if it has social optimal levels, what is the price that the firm should be charging? Should be PC. Do you see that? But because of market dominance, then the firm is able to raise the price to QPM. Do you see that? And therefore, this is inequitable. What is one possible reason is that the good is now less affordable. Can you understand? It's less affordable. Especially if the product in this case is what? Railway. Alright? So it is a necessity. Is alright? And will impact the SOL standard living for many consumers. Especially the lower income. Unlike that for drama. Okay, right? But of course, if this is Armani charging very high prices because of its for its latest summer collection, then of course I don't care because it is not a necessity. Okay, that is one possible answer. The more difficult answer is equity part 2. Okay, now what is equity part 2? Other than the very obvious the reason why prices is rising, right? Is the idea of distribution of income between consumers and producers. So going back to what Jun Rong told us, social optimum should be at QC and price should be at PC, correct? Zheng Xian using the concept of consumer surplus. Okay, right? If the firm were to be charging at PC and producing at QC, right? So the price is here. You see that? The price is right. And this is your demand curve, correct? Where is consumer surplus at PC and QC?
Triangle.
Okay, tell me the alphabets, please.
The consumer surplus.
That's right, consumer surplus. This is the demand curve, right? And this is the price. Correct? So it is bound by this triangle. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, where is the consumer surplus?
The triangle.
Okay, PCCP.
Yeah.
Okay, right? But because of the market dominance, right, the firm is going to charge higher prices, right, to PM and reduce the output from QC to QM. So the triangle reduced from this, right, to the smaller triangle, correct? Can you tell me, because of market dominance, consumer surplus will fall by how much?
PC, PM, AC.
Correct. Okay, now, but because of the market dominance, right, as firms increase increase from QC, reduce the output from QC to QM, firm's profit actually rises. But consumer surplus actually falls. So the idea is that there's a tussle between producers and consumers, right? The producers are gaining the supernormal profits at the expense of consumer surplus. Understand? So the distribution of income between the two parties, right, becomes skewed in favor of the producers away from the market. That is the sexy, inequitable answer. Okay, right? The simple answer is prices are higher and it's less affordable, especially if it's necessity. The second answer is producers are gaining profits at the expense of consumer surplus. And so the distribution of income is less equitable. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay, so this will be here.
Wait, isn't it consumer welfare? Consumer welfare.
Consumer surplus, consumer welfare.
Like it's called like the entire thing, the entire part is called consumer welfare.
The welfare is same as consumer surplus.
Oh, okay.
Alright, because P bigger than P is your MC for the consumers. Then NPV, right? So is P equals to NPV. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like from your market figure, right? It's a rational consumer to consumer, NPV equals NPC. Then we'll maximize the consumer welfare or consumer surplus. So in this case, the NPC is the price. Okay, right? But like that, the explanation will be very rigorous. Okay, and you notice the word adequately efficient and equitable did not appear at all in an earlier discussion of question 1, 2, 3. So because when you use the word efficiency and equitable, you are arguing from the perspective of government or society, not from the firm's perspective. The firm has no desire to be adequately efficient. The firm has no desire to be equitable. They have only desire to profit maximize. But the outcome from the society perspective of that profit maximizing behavior is equity and efficiency issues. You know. So don't confuse the two of them Other than these two, of course, there's others, right? Dynamic inefficiency. Okay, right? Can you tell me some words about some ideas about allocative inefficient and why railway may be dynamically inefficient?
Is it referring to the graph?
There's no graph should be. Dynamic efficiency, no graph. What is the issue about dynamic efficiency?
It's like, because you're a big firm, so you have no incentive to to be dynamic efficient because you have no competitors.
What is the I word that is closely tied to the dynamic efficiency? I word.
Innovation.
Innovation, alright. And why is there no incentive to do innovation?
Because you have no other competitors that can.
So the monopoly will have no incentive to use their what?
Profits to
Super normal
profits.
for R&D, right? And the society will suffer from less innovation, right? Okay. And all the time when we talk about dynamic efficiency, it's good to apply to the context. So in this case, right, it is railway. What kind of innovation do you think the railway company can do for greater innovation?
Less like the SMRT.
What do you do to improve their services? Like apply to the context of railway.
Less defects.
Less
Effect.
Defects, less defects, okay lah. So there might be more breakdowns. How about that? They will not try to spruce up their interior. The rides are less comfortable, more disruptions, something along those lines. Okay lah, but then you reduce the whole thing, right? Consumers will derive less
satisfaction.
A society will enjoy less innovation, okay, right? And suffer from dynamic inefficiency, something like that. Okay, right? This one is others, others meaning these two will be take up a lot of the time already. Okay, this one must explain rigorously. The rest never mind. Then what's one more is productive inefficiency. Can right? Ernest, do you know what is productive inefficiency?
P not equal to MC.
Higher P not equal to MC is allocative efficiency. Now, productive efficiency is what? The firms will have less incentive to choose the least cost method. Understand? What's the reason, right? Is this. Now, by right, most firms, if they're profit maximizing, right, will always choose to minimize their cost. Okay, right? And that is the minimum cost is they will try to produce, Ernest, what is this big smiley graph here? What's the big smiley graph? From market.
AC.
What's that big one, the big?
LRAC.
Very good. They will try to produce on the point of LRAC. Okay, that's the definition of producing at the lowest cost, right? But Ernest, why is it that the monopoly will have less incentive to do that, right? It's because, right, the firm, right, even if the cost is very expensive, they can simply pass on the higher cost to consumers. Okay, and consumers have no alternative to choose from. Okay, right? And so they can easily pass on. For all other market structures, right, when they are the cost is higher, right, then consumers will simply switch to cheaper alternatives. Okay, but in this case, the monopoly cannot are able to dominate the market, right? So even if the cost is higher and the price is higher, the consumers are no choice but to bear it. Okay, right? So the among other compared to other market structures, monopoly is the one that has the least incentive to produce on the LRAC. Okay, right? And so this is productive inefficiency. For Hwa Chong is X inefficiency. When you write this, only if you have time. When what is definitely must write? Allocative efficiency. Okay, now inequity will be the one that follow. But the rest is right in briefly can. However, should not Hayden, what is the defense for big firms? Again, the big curve. What is the good thing about big firms?
Lower minimum cost.
Lower what?
Minimum cost.
Minimum cost, that's right. Okay, right. So, what is that word that the teacher will look out for? Oh, big firms enjoy
Greater benefits from iOS.
iOS, that's right. Okay, right. And how do you explain that? Because this monopoly is producing at a much larger scale, that's right, is that right? And using the one that Chok can help us, this means that the monopoly is operating close to
the MEC.
MEC is double here. MES. Okay, MES, right? And then tell you why. Ethan, what is the example of why can railway enjoy so much iOS? Tell me a few examples of iOS, please, that you will carry around with you. Anytime you mention iOS, right, you throw this. Okay, let me help you with some examples. Classic example number one, marketing iOS. Buy cheap things. Okay, now, what is the cheap thing? It's not very useful something. Any example also can buy cheap things. What is the cheap thing that they buy? Factors of production. Okay, and why is the firm able to buy these FOPs at such a low price? Because the firm has a lot of bargaining power. Okay, and let's try. Hayden, what can railway companies buy at a lower FOP?
FOP.
You can buy what do the railway company need? Railway needs what do they need? What do they need? What does the railway run on?
Capital.
Railway run capital. You burn you burn dollars. They run on what? Fuel lah, easy right? Okay lah, airline also fuel lah. Okay lah, Sheng Siong buy what? Sheng Siong.
Grocery.
Grocery, okay lah, buy grocery, correct, right? From their suppliers, right? Because Sheng Siong and the railway has significant what? Power. Okay now. The second common IUS is or related ideas is spreading of costs. Spreading of fixed costs, right? And so what is the again why do I recommend this? Because almost all sectors you can tell me this. Okay now, what does railway spend on? They spend on tracks and stations and trains, right? So the more commuters that they have, right, the cost of the train and cost of infrastructure is spread very thinly, okay now, across larger output levels. Okay? So, and this means that as they operate close to MES, such lower costs can be passed on to consumers as lower prices. How about that? And what does this bring about? Bring about a more equitable outcome, right? Because now train fares can be cheaper. How about that? Always link to the economic agents if possible. Okay, so for consumers, they enjoy more purchasing power and higher degree of consumer surplus. For the society, as necessities get cheaper, if the outcome is more equitable. This is okay. IUS. Okay, now, for the crazy nuts out there, what is the diagram to draw? And the teachers are obsessed about diagrams. Okay, so one diagram to draw is this. This one can draw. Okay, now, you can see that the lower cost, right? Okay, now, and this. Okay, number one people, again, the teacher very demanding. So this is too simple, say the teacher. Okay, they want this. And this again will appear in your notes. Okay, now, let me explain this. Some of the syllabus is taken out from the new syllabus, so that's why you find it very confusing. But if you want to express IEOS leading to lower prices, okay, right, you do a double shift of your MC. Okay, do the double shift of your MC. Okay, this is monopoly, correct? This is monopoly. And the monopoly, because of the IOS, the MC is much lower. Okay, and MC equals MR is a QM and PM. Okay, compared to the PC case, right? PC has limited IUS, right? Because they're so small. Okay, and the way to represent that is an MC. But at this point, remember, right, is P equals to MC. Okay, right? So even when the PC is producing at P equals to MC, right? The resultant price is still higher than MC because monopoly because they're enjoying so much IUS. For crazy people, definitely singles notes. I bet it's the last order. It's just some obscure corner. But if you see this, what they're trying to tell you is that this monopoly is enjoying so much IUS. Right, that the prices that they charge may be even lower than PC, even though PC do not have market power. But the bad thing about PC is that they limited IUS. So I put it here as a write-up for you to refer to. If not, then you simply just draw me this, I'll be very happy. But please try to include a diagram. The teachers love diagrams. Okay, so you just tell me that the monopoly is operating closer to the MBS, and therefore due to the lower average cost, it can pass on the lower prices. That's not very good. Okay, but remember to put in examples of why we can enjoy iOS. Okay, Hayden will tell you they have marketing iOS because they can have more marketing power. I will tell you they can spread their infrastructure cost more evenly across larger outlets. Okay, right? So that is definitely one thing that's good about firms. Okay, right? The second thing that's good about firms is that they have a lot of supernormal profits. Okay, and much as they have less incentive to do R&D, they have a lot of ability to do so. But especially for railway, because railway may require significant capital. Is that right? And so the railway companies, given their super profits, are able to have large scale investment projects. Okay, and then I put it here a little bit, is that right? So this is to Jin Kang was helping us with this. How can you improve the services of the question, the industry question, right? Always come in a little bit to show that you're applying to the context. Also, don't keep just saying that the product innovation, right, which is called okay, but what is product innovation in the context of railway is good that you tell me. Okay, right, more safety measures, better interiors, maybe even serve F&B or something like that. It's already in the train or something like that. So that one will be something good. Okay, right, so let's revise. Okay, right. Zheng Xian is alright. There are 4 bad things about the monopoly. Can you tell me what are the 4? Starting from the most important.
It's allocative inefficient, then it's inequitable, and then dynamic,
Very good. 4.
and then 4 is X inefficiency.
That's correct. Okay, right?
Okay, but Hwa Chong differentiates PE and X, I think.
Let's stick to the X, is the safest.
Like they write PE and then they have like they say that PE and X are different, I think.
What is the difference?
Like PE is producing an MES. Then X is that when the firm gets complacent.
Above the LRIC, right?
No.
What did you say? X is
It just says the monopolist faces no competitor or rival. So
Yes.
it's questionable whether it will have the incentive to minimize costs.
Yes.
So it might be complacent and suffer from inefficiency due to a lack of competition. Then, because there is no comparative pressures,
Yes.
cost controls may become lax. The result may be overstaffing and spending on buildings and equipment, as well as less effort to keep tech up to date. This form of inefficiency is termed X
Does
inefficiency.
it tell you where is it on the LRIC when you say export X inefficiency?
They said it just makes AC and NC higher, i.e. not on LRAC.
I.e. on the LRIC.
Not on LRAC.
On the LRIC, correct lah. It cannot be below ma. Below
Wait,
is
but I think they differentiate like the
yeah, so what I'm saying is that's the reason why stick to your X inefficiency is the safest.
Oh, okay.
Okay, right, which is why they are saying that they will produce above the LRIC, which is not on LRIC, right? Yeah. The one that you just read from me, right? X inefficiency is not on the LRIC, correct?
Mm.
And not on means it's above lah.
Oh, okay.
It cannot be below ma. Alright, so that's the reason why different schools have different ways of approaching this. So that's why I remember for one is X inefficient as a definition of above LRIC.
Mm.
Okay, 4 for students this year. So that's fine. Okay, right. But we are just saying what's the 2 good things about monopoly?
iOS.
That's why plus.
Plus, they have the ability to R&D.
Okay, right. The ability doesn't mean incentive. Okay, right. And the third good thing about monopoly is okay, just say I'm doing this, right? Monopoly can their pricing ability, right? So when their pricing ability, the bad thing is like what Jun Long told us, they're allocating inefficient. Yeah, but because of the price setting ability, they can do something else, which is
They can up their price.
they can the price is a bad thing. Okay, but they can do silly things as
They can lower their price.
discrimination.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now they can do price discrimination. Now, NPC cannot do price discrimination because they don't have the price setting ability. So, Zheng Xian, why is price discrimination a good idea?
They were but this is price discrimination. Is bad though.
It's good. So, what is it good?
My note says that it's bad, I think.
Well, so it's controversial, right? Why is it bad?
It abuses the monopoly power.
Nonsense.
Is it not?
Even if they don't do price discrimination, they're still abusing the market power. What?
Okay, anyways, price discrimination.
Supposing you're SMRT, okay, supposing SMRT, right, and you practice price discrimination, right? Right. How would SMRT, for example, practice price discrimination?
Peak note pricing.
Wow, boleh so difficult They want simple things they will look at different groups of people and charge different prices, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If you are people like you, students, right?
Mm-hmm.
People like a mother which is senior citizen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or children, what kind of price will they charge?
It's lower.
What's the reason?
Because student have lesser income, so it takes a smaller proportion of their income.
Smaller proportion of income, that's right. Smaller than income. So fares take up
That smaller proportion of their income.
they are very so fares
It's
take
like,
up
huh?
they are poor, right? They are low income. So
Yeah.
$1 takes up a big or small part of their income.
A big part.
Which they don't want to say, that's not to say, just want to say small, right? So the big
Okay.
and since you take up a big part of the income, what is the PED?
And the PED will be elastic.
Correct. And because of that, what price will they charge? Because the demand is elastic.
They will charge a lower price for a more than proportionate. Because a more than proportionate change.
Okay, price, isn't it? More specific price. Then for the working adults, it's alright. Then what is the price that they will charge?
A higher price.
What's the reason?
Because it takes up a smaller proportion of the income.
And then what demand is?
So demand is like inelastic.
Inelastic, that's right. So what price will they charge?
They will charge a higher price.
Cost per demand will fall.
It will fall less than proportional.
Okay, so let's look back at what they've done so far. Is that right? Lower income, is the price higher or lower?
Lower income, the price will be lower.
That's right. Higher income, the price is
Higher.
Do you think that fulfills your sense of justice?
Yeah.
And what is the term that means I think that's fair?
Equity.
Thank you very much. That's why price discrimination leads to a more equitable outcome because the prices that the firm is charging is reflective of individuals' ability to pay. Okay, but of course, it is the monopolies abusing the market power because they are able to increase revenue from both sides. But it is a classic example of profit maximizing behavior leads to socially desirable outcomes. Do you understand what I'm talking about? From the first perspective, of course, the reason why they are doing price is because they have market power. But if they only charge one price, it's allocative, inefficient, and inequitable. If they charge multiple prices, at least we can justify that as not so undesirable because the outcome is equitable. Okay, right? And so price discrimination actually can be justified as a desirable outcome of firms' profit maximizing behavior. Is this okay? Can, right? Can. So 3 reasons why monopolies are desirable. 1, RUS. 2, ability to do R&D. 3, price discrimination may lead to a more equitable outcome. Right? Pick against 4. Allocating inefficient, inequitable, dynamic efficient versus productive inefficient. Is this okay? And right, so where are we so far, children? So we are at 81, 82. Okay, 81, 82. Okay, right, so that is a balanced answer. We have some ideas on why the government should be and some ideas why the government should be. Is it okay? And here comes the way to strike gold with high evaluation. Okay, now for your conclusion, do remember that the trick to writing good conclusion is always, not always, but more often than not, is consider different kinds of situation or depends on what is the factor of consideration. Factors are very, very important for a conclusion. Right? So for me, it's a conclusion. Overall, it depends on, or overall, whether the government should intervene or not, depends on the following factors. Okay, then factor 1 is this, factor 2 is this, factor 3 is this. It's like before you have a big grand statement to say whether they should intervene or not. Okay, right? And so for monopoly, what is the standard factor of consideration? Anybody please? I also want to go home, okay, right? I'm just trying to make sure that your money is as well spent as possible, okay, right? Important, how many stars, Jun Kang, how many stars?
5.
5 stars, okay, right? What is the factor of consideration?
Contestability.
Okay, can you repeat for me? Okay, contestability, okay, right? So if the railway company is alright, it's a monopoly, correct? But the market is contestable. Can you still help us revise what is contestability?
If what?
Can you help us revise what is contestability?
It's like whether the market is contestable when other new firms are able to come in.
That's correct. If the market is contestable, is a monopoly desirable or not?
No.
Say again, if the market is contestable, is a monopoly desirable or not?
Is it no? Yes.
Unlike your hearing abilities, my hearing ability is quite good, and the answer is definitely not no.
Yes.
Why? Contestable means firms can easily enter, correct?
Yeah.
So if the monopoly can feel that anytime their market dominance and market structure will, their market share will be eroded, will the monopoly abuse its market power?
No.
No. What will they do based on the discussion earlier if they are always feeling the potential rivals knocking at their door?
If they're always what?
If they are always feeling that somebody will enter the market anytime,
They'll invest more in R&D and
and
innovate their products so that consumers will not switch to other.
yes, that's one of the answer, right? And in terms of pricing, what will they do?
Predatory pricing and limit pricing.
Which one?
Limit.
Why limit?
Because then they will not be able to enter.
That's right. What's the enter is limit, right? Trajectory is drive out. In this case, it's prevent entry or drive out.
Drive out, so it's predatory.
Now it's contestable. Contestable is drive out or prevent.
Contestable means they can come inside, right?
They come inside, that's right. So are you trying to drive them out or then are you trying to prevent them from coming in?
Drive them out.
They are not existent, so they are trying to come in.
Oh, prevent them from coming in.
So is limit or mandatory?
Limit.
Very much. And because the firm is doing daily pricing by Mr. Jin Kang, will they be producing an MCOMR?
No.
Will the outcome therefore be as elegantly inefficient as what Jun Yong told us?
No.
Oh, that's right. So let's repeat my question to you again. When the market is contestable and the monopoly will not abuse its market power, are monopolies desirable or not?
Desirable.
Yes, that's correct. Very well. So let's put it in a question form that whether monopolies are undesirable or not depends on the level of
Contestability.
可以吗？可以吗？ It's like, and this is typical of the teacher's way to help you understand. So Jun Kang is a writer. Looking back at the question again, okay, right? Where's the question? Yeah. Jun Kang, if you read this preamble, right, that's how like that, right? Can you tell me, is what is the teacher's or center's intention of writing that particular line in the preamble?
To tell the students that it's contestable.
That's right, because while the railway, right, has won the bid, we understand roughly, right, won the bid to operate, right, is that confirmed that they will operate for life?
No.
No, it's alright, because it will be some other firms have a chance of winning the bid too, isn't it? And then they will come in. So even now, I'm the only firm operating that line. I can always feel the presence of potential rivals. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And for them to continue holding on to the bid, right? They must prove their worth, isn't it? So Jun Kang is correct. What price will they charge? Not at profit maximizing. To be more price competitive, correct? And they will also spend their money, the super non-profits on R&D. Okay, right? Therefore, in the case where the market is contestable, the monopoly may not be allocating efficient, and the monopoly may not be dynamically efficient. Is this okay, children? Remember this, or this is very, very important. Okay, right? I cannot reduce this any simpler, understand? Okay, now cannot reduce any simpler. This is the basic. Okay, now you must know. So sorry, so I have to push you so hard, but yeah, in my world, this is the basic routine. So factor 1 can? Factor 2. Type of good. Type of good. Okay, right? And Hayden, what type of good is railway? Hayden, what type of good is railway? Is it important?
Sorry.
Is railway important?
Yes.
Now what is the word that says it's an important good that starts with N? It will affect everybody and everybody needs it to start with N. E. Also want to go home, okay, right? C. E. S.
Necessity.
Very good. It's alright. It's a necessity. And so, if the good is a necessity, do you think there is a need for the government to intervene?
Sorry.
It is a necessity, it's important good, is there a need for the government to intervene?
Yes.
What's the reason? Because the government want to ensure that necessities are and
Affordable.
affordable is alright. Affordable is a layman term, correct? To ensure a more what outcome so that the lower income can also afford important things such as railway.
Equitable.
Thank you very much. Okay, right, that will be excellent. Okay, right, the Jun Rong is alright. From the perspective of market failure, why do you think the government want to intervene quite significantly on in SMRT from market failure perspective?
Because is it like merit goods, demerit goods?
Thank you very much. Very good. Next, why is railway arguably something that is desirable socially?
It allows people to reach their work faster, so increases productivity.
In the case of Singapore, that's correct, right? Let me just find to a little bit so that Ms. Linda will be even more impressed. Why is the government trying to encourage people to use SMRT?
They want to increase usage of public transport and less yes,
Because if people take public transport more and drive less, what will happen?
less carbon emission.
That's right, that is you are very six writing for the social studies. But now you are year 1 going to year 2, there will be less.
Less cars on the road, I guess, less traffic jam.
Oh, that's why we're going down to primary 1. It's alright. Let's move to JC 1.5. Less carbon emission is what?
Oh, so it's the less carbon emissions. Less greenhouse gas, global warming. I don't know.
How many percent carbon monoxide?
Sorry?
How many percent carbon monoxide?
How many percent carbon monoxide? I didn't hear. I didn't hear the
Pollution. You see carbon emission, huh?
pollution. Yeah.
So do you think Miss Lila will be very happy with? Wow, so cool you know it's carbon, is it? Wow. They ask you to draw the diagram, right? How many bonds is it?
Okay.
Miss Lila is econ teacher. She doesn't like carbon monoxide. She likes what?
Cons.
She likes negative externality. Oh my god.
Yeah.
She wanna ask you to draw carbon monoxide versus carbon dioxide. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to draw that silicon, right? No, okay, right, it's the negative externalities, right? So it's alright. So why is public transport very good? Because it has common address.
Negative externality.
That's right, such as
just because it incurs healthcare pollution and incurring healthcare costs and reduce productivity.
That will be very happy. Okay, right? So what good is railway? On one hand, it's a necessity. On the other hand, it might also be a very good. Based on that, Jun, is there a need for government intervene?
Yes.
Yes. However, if you look at the perspective of contestability, is there a need to intervene?
No.
Less so. Because depending on what factor you are basing it on, understand? Like that is qualified, justified conclusion. 了解我的意思吗 ？By looking at the factors. Okay, right? Is Jun a good person? Oh, that depends on what perspective you look at. Okay, now different criteria. Okay, now criteria is important, So criteria is type of good and contestability, very good already. Zheng Xuan will tell you. It also depends on how the firm is maximizing their profits. Zheng Xuan, what profit maximizing strategy or monopolies may arguably be socially desirable?
Wait, as in profit max?
What kind of profit maximizing strategies done by monopolies that can arguably be desirable?
PD?
Right, price discrimination. So remember, price discriminating monopoly may not be that bad. Okay, now depending on what is their profit maximizing strategy. Okay, finally, is that right? Ernest, your favorites. When they ask you whether monopolies are desirable or not, alright? The assumption is that there is no government intervention. Okay, Ernest, what will make monopolies more social desirable is the fourth factor. So whether there is, Mr. Ernest, whether there is yes, Mr. Ernest. Whether there is government intervention. Okay, right? If what are the ways that the government can make monopolies less undesirable? Ernest previously told us price ceiling. Okay, now Zheng Xian will tell you MC pricing and AC pricing. So if there is government intervention, monopolies may not be that undesirable. Is it okay? Jin Kang, to consider whether monopolies are desirable or not, what are the 4 factors of consideration? Let's go. What's this?
Compatibility,
2,
type of good,
right?
type of good,
Good, that's right. 3,
maximizing strategies,
what is the profit maximizing strategy? 4,
and whether government intervention.
okay, right? Easy, okay, very easy okay, and so the factors remember, and the structure remember, T1, T2, AT1, AT2, is and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Is okay, factors is important. Please remember to know how to get full marks, not full marks, I cannot be full marks, but at least evaluation is 5 marks, right? Okay, have a factor tiered in factors, kind of condition will guarantee you a 3. Okay, and write in unerring terms, that means clearly, whether the government should intervene or not depends on the following factors. Understand? So, given the importance of railway, which is a type of good, the government should intervene. It's just a matter of how much only. But it's so important a good, okay, that the government should not leave it to the free market. Okay, right? So, question 7, please take a look at this. That's the time. One more and okay, probably something that you will encounter quite a bit will be 13A, right? And you close with this, no more already. Okay, take one look at this. Okay, this is difficult. Okay, but I need to introduce you to such a question type. Okay, right? Look at 13A. This is a CJC given this year, but it's a very, very good question. And very, very likely, Dyson and electric vehicles. So take one look at it. So I'll come back to you with one design. Okay, if you like market structure and the new modern questions will be along the lines of the DA. What is this issue? Explain the factors. Wow, very demanding. Okay, right? They ask about the factors that the advisor may have considered before deciding. So this is firm's decision. Okay, now firm's decision to do something, right? Okay, now. So what is the issues that the firm will consider when they want to make a decision? Okay, let's start from market failure. Okay, right? So if they ask you, if the firm, if a consumer, right, want to make a decision, right? If a firm, if a consumer want to make a decision, should I buy the latest iPhone? Okay, right, very basic question. Alright, so what are the factors of consideration?
Barriers to entry.
I don't know. Scale the identity is consumers, right?
Oh, consumer.
You buy the latest smartphone, alright? Then what is the decision framework of a consumer?
Price first.
No, cannot. Must go back to the theory. Okay, Mistio-like theory. So a firm will consider, a consumer will consider what? Oh, based on the
Marginal benefit.
marginalist principle, alright? Consumers will consume to the point where
MPV goes MPC.
correct, right? Like that is a good starting point. Okay, so MPV will be the what? One factor already. What's MPV?
Just the benefit from using the phone, I guess.
Is the
Satisfaction derived from using it.
marginal, they derive from the next unit of the smartphone. Okay, then you tell me, what can a smartphone do? I can call your friend, can do whatever. So that's the under satisfaction. Yeah. Then what would they consider? The second answer is MPC. Correct, right? What is the MPC from the consumer perspective?
I guess it's
Later this will specific factor. Okay, first is MPV, MPC. MPC is the what? The price of the stupid phone. Okay, right? The price of the stupid phone. Okay, but for the crazy people, what does the price represent? Okay, right? So again, for the Dhamma type people, the teacher like this. For the cost, there is explicit cost and implicit cost. Okay, right? What is explicit cost? Explicit cost is the dollars and cents, the stupid phone. Okay, right? But what is the implicit cost? If you spend on this phone, you cannot spend on other things. Okay, right? So the implicit cost is the satisfaction from other things you could have bought, right? Forgone. Like the opportunity cost of that. So the consumer, right, have to weigh the MPV versus the MPC, which is both explicit and implicit, right? Before they decide. You understand what I'm talking about? So they only go ahead if the MPV is bigger than the MPC. And consume up to the point where MPV equals to MPC. Understand? Like that, the teacher class can. Cannot. Later we'll follow the same pattern. Understand just say, okay, right? However, much as what's the third factor? Okay, first, what's the first factor? MPV. Second factor, MPC, explicit, and implicit. Can? Third factor. Now, even if this phone give me more satisfaction, is right, then what? The cost, right? I want to buy the phone, but I don't have money. Okay now, so the third factor is constraints or feasibility. Feasibility, understand? Feasibility means, can I buy the phone? Okay now, which is the consumer's what? Income levels or purchasing power. Is it alright? So three already, huh? Okay, what are the three? MPV, MPC, explicit, implicit. affordability or feasibility. Okay, and before you hand out the paper for all such questions, the fourth answer is whether the consumers have imperfect information. Okay now, about the NPV and NPC before they make a decision. So using this as an example, okay, now, you always start off with the margin principle, okay, right? Okay, and so let's try this one now. Jim Kang is our writer. Can you tell me now is a firm, right? Just now was a consumer. Okay, now, so based on the margin principle, right? A firm will consider what and what. Yes, it is. A consumer will consume NPV and price, right? Market structure, a firm will consider what? What is the NPV of firm? What is the benefits of firm?
The consumer expenditure.
That's right. But now they want to enter a market, right? They want to produce EV, correct? So what is the benefit of entering a market or producing EVs for a firm?
A greater consumer base.
Firm's benefit 是什么 Why do the firms want to produce? They want to gain what?
Money.
小学生 money revenue, my goodness me, MR equals MC, correct? They want to gain revenue, correct? And Jim Kang, what give you revenue is the market demand, cannot. What is the demand? Okay, right? Jim Kang, do you think this market for EV is doing well, electric vehicles?
Not really.
Which planet do you come from?
But it's like not very, like not a lot of vehicles are electric, like yet.
But in the future, do you think there's more and more people using EV?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's more environmentally friendly.
Okay lah, and the government, is the government supporting it?
Yeah.
Are the consumers getting more environmental conscious?
Yes.
Okay, let's try to use it the more vigorous to explain, right? Consumers, because they're getting more environmental conscious, right? The firms will see a change in
Taste preferences.
I see. So government will think that EV has more
marginal MSB. No benefit.
Externalities, okay, will also try to encourage it. Okay, so from the Dyson viewpoint, is there a lot of benefits of entering this EV market because of change in taste and preferences and government support?
Yeah.
Yes, demand is likely going to
Increase.
rise. Should they enter? Answer is yes. Okay, right. Factor one is the benefits. Okay, rise in total revenue. Right? So future demand is likely to rise because of consumer change in preferences is an government policies. Okay now, but that is from the benefit side, alright? 正邪, what do they consider to? Cost. Okay, right? What is the cost involved of producing EV? If they want to start, what cost do they need?
The op cost.
Implicit as well as explicit, right? What is the explicit cost?
You need some costs.
You need some cost. Very good. They will spend on what?
Like your basic raw materials and stuff.
I think raw materials, you need another word that starts with P that means factories.
P?
A word that starts with P that means factories.
Producer?
Plants.
Oh.
Okay. They also need to spend a lot of R&D. Okay. So that all of these will end up to be the explicit cost, correct? But what was the implicit cost? Of course, correct. So if the Dyson were to spend so much resources, right, onto EVs, he had less resources to spend on
Something else.
other sectors. Right? What does Dyson produce?
Vacuum.
Vacuum cleaners, that's right. So the implicit cost is the profits lost from those sectors. For a very strong answer. This one sure come up one. I bet you the last one. Hwa Chong likes this. Hwa Chong 3 consecutive readings asked about firm decision, and the pattern is like that. Okay,
Ramos they also ask.
Okay. Now that you know, okay, so they like this are very difficult question. Okay, I don't know the common testing they ask, then the prelim they ask the same thing again. So they really are bending on this, which I agree because this is full question. Okay, so your function is on the right track. I agree. Okay now, and so anyway, let's look at the cost. Can see explicit cost as well as implicit cost. Can see now. Okay, and then you got the picture, they should go ahead with the benefits, right? Outweigh the explicit and implicit cost. Okay, right? But even if the project sounds like a good idea, right? Whether Dyson can do or not depends on the feasibility, like just right, as well as the constraints. Okay, right? So what is the feasibility? Whether Dyson have the capital, for example, right? Or whether Dyson have the technology, for example, so these are the constraints and feasibility. 这个可以了解吗？这个很重要哦，这题重要。Okay, for those people who like to do market structure. Okay, so this can. Okay, but let's go with this. But however, there are more difficult answers. Okay, for those people who are interested in this. 4, level of competition. To close. Okay, right? When you want to enter the market, other than the usual answers about the benefits and the cost, right, as well as feasibility, you must always consider the level of competition. Okay, right? If the market for EV is very competitive, what are the few things that you may want to consider? First, is right. If the market is very competitive, is right, then your ability to enjoy large market share is very limited. Okay, so your benefits will not be so significant. Is it okay? And if the market is very competitive, is right, you also need to spend a lot on R&D and advertising. So your cost will also go up because of the high levels of competition. So because of the competition, is that your benefits may not be so significant and your cost may actually be much higher than you expected. Okay, right? Possible answers for cost is that because your market share is so small, your ability to enjoy IUS is also very limited. So your cost actually is quite high. Okay, right? But regardless, is the level of competition has certain implications. Okay, one is your ability to enjoy more market share. One is your ability to enjoy IEOS. 3 is the need to spend more on advertising and product innovation. And crazy answers if you want to is that there's a need for you to pursue alternative objectives, just now, for example, unit pricing or objective pricing. And all these will contribute towards the fact that your profits may not be so significant. Okay, right? With lower revenue, higher average cost, higher total cost, and you may not even produce at profit maximizing efforts. Is it okay? Is that more difficult? Basic answers is these 3. Is that right? So 1 is benefits, 2 is cost, both explicit and implicit, and the third one will be feasibility. Okay, and all else false is the last one is always whether they have imperfect information or not, which is here. Okay, right? So this one is the highest of highest, right? This is very difficult already for market structure, but it's getting more and more common. Okay, right? So if you have a chance to take a look at this, please look at this. Okay, right? So let me have one last word on this, right? So today you will see in what did we go through? We went through, okay, so this will be the copy I will post online. We went through this. So all the ones with highlighted ones is will have you will have a complementary answers together with it. Okay, so 1 we did, right? 2 we did. 3, 4 we dropped. 7 we did. Okay, so I'm going to keep it highlighted. 8 we didn't do, so I'm going to remove the highlights. And then 13, right? So you're going to see 4 answers each. So, right, with this is 5. Okay, right. Also, that's all I have time for today. Okay, I try to cover as many things as possible. Also, hopefully, this is useful. Of course, market structure. Let me give a few words of advice. If you're going for your so okay, what will you expect next year, right? So the A-level book this year, right? In your paper 2, which is 60% of the paper, right? So you do 3 to 8 essays, right? Out of 6 questions, right? Do you know that? So the paper is split into micro 1, 2, 3 and macro 4, 5, 6. Okay, right? The problem with it is that people don't like micro, which I understand because it's very technical sometimes. Because, for example, this one philosophy of market structure. However, it's right, in your micro 1, 2, 3, right, demand supply is almost unrecognizable these days, right? So whatever they expected for you from demand supply in the school, for example, government high question on the semiconductor, right, it's too traditional already. Now the demand supply is unrecognizable. So nobody will bank on demand supply. Right? We've left with only market failure and market structure. Okay, so most people, if you feel that you need to spend time on other subjects, of course, between market structure and market failure, the one to try is always market failure. No arguments. No arguments. Okay, and for most of the seniors, the remaining 2 essay questions will always be 4, 5, 6 because it's much easier and they're also more mature in taking the subjects. Yeah, but as an econ teacher, I will always feel very scared. Because there will be years where the market failure is very, very simple, but there are also years where the market failure is really, really difficult. Okay, so my recommendation for you is, much as you don't like market structure, you cannot let it know nothing about it. You definitely must know something. It's about prioritizing market failure over market structure, please. Okay, and really, if you ask me, market structure is not worth compared to market failure because there's so much content to cover for market structure. It's compared to market failure, which is much more simplistic. But that said, it's very, very dangerous. It's like to leave market structure hanging. Or especially when this year micro question, you see a lot of people don't study right. This year the case study, wow, so much of demand and supply. Shit. Then okay, also very difficult to say totally don't study at all, cannot. So market structure die also must know a few things on like the shape of the curve the kind rise down, and how to explain market order. So today what I cover is already quite basic. Okay, so if you know whatever that I said today, then of course then you have a fair shot of doing the basic questions recently. Okay, but to really do it and the schools are now a bit more crazy, we need to do a bit more but today is just whatever I can spare within the time constraints. Okay, right, with this. Okay, the link you can see, if not, then you can text Mary to contact me, then I'll see what I can do. Other than that, whatever that I promise you will be given. So I'll give you 5 minutes, I post it up shortly, and then you will have the system. Okay, with this, thank you very much for your kind attention. I'll see you again. Okay, right? Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
我要去跑步先。还不懂哎。1月，所以12月整个月都不给去，明天是11月最后一天了。如果明天不去，就1月去了。啊。
Okay, at Learner's Lodge, we are very skills focused, and one of the things that we focus on is actually case study skills, where we will teach the students how to break down the questions and categorize the questions before teaching them answer structure. Then following that, they will be able to do the practice in class, which will allow them to consolidate whatever they have learned. Okay, at Learners Lodge, we are very skills focused, and one of the things that we focus on is actually case study skills, where we will teach the students how to break down the questions and categorize the questions before teaching them answer structure. Then following that, they will be able to do the practice in class, which will allow them to consolidate whatever they have learned.